And I believe we are live now. What is going on, guys? And welcome to the hottest Xbox show on Sunday nights, the Xbox Roundtable Podcast. This is episode number 153. I'm your host, Invader, and I'm hyped to get into all the Xbox talk and so much more from around the industry. Heck, you know what? I'm still feeling the after effects of last week's bloody industry shaking announcement. But hey, you know what? We got a lot of good stuff to discuss tonight. And of course, before we get into all the topics, let me introduce everybody on the panel. And tonight with us, we're joined by a guy that's extremely well known on the Xbox podcast scene. He's known for his explosive commentary. Get ready to make some noise. Please welcome Newf Nukem. How you doing, bud?
And I'm good, man. It is boom, boom, kaboom. Newf Nukem is in the room. TXR. We are ready to roll. Lots of topics, and I am always honored and grateful to be here. Thanks for the invitation, guys. It's going to be a lit show, and I'm sure the chat, they're in for a good one. So thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, of course, brother, of course. Always a good time with Nukem here, of course. Yeah, guys, let's get on to the TXR regulars. I'll start with Eric Shockley. Shock, how you been, bud?
Pretty good. Been starting some Doom Eternal. I don't think didn't play Doom 2016. I somehow missed that one. But yeah, I don't think I played a Doom game ever. But I think it was I, well, I think it was back then when Doom 3 came out. But I was on like playing Riddick a bunch, so similar type of game. Plus, that game I heard like back in the day that you had to choose between having your gun out or a flashlight out. So I think it kind of, I want to say it scared me, but it was just like, yeah, I'm not into that. But yeah, this game's been pretty sick. So it's been harder to play it on the xCloud with the Kishi because just because you can't use, I'll use my Elite Pro or Elite Series 2 controller so I can move both sticks and, kill or do melees at the same time, so it makes it a little bit easier to move. So I think that's the only game I've had issues with playing with that Switch-like controller. But
Shock,
yeah, otherwise pretty cool.
Shock, I played Doom Eternal using the Dex functionality on my, from phone to TV. And I could say I was really surprised on how responsive it was. For those of you,
great.
Well, for those of you who don't know, you can Dex your Samsung phone on your TV and use it like a personal computer. The Game Pass application works using your Kishi and just displayed on your TV. And I was really surprised on how well it works. I mean, we're talking, you can play. I have a 70-inch TV, and it was natively on my on my TV full screen using the Dex application. So for those of you who haven't tried it out yet, I suggest you do so because it's a nice technology. Especially the days of having an Xbox are almost over. I mean, it's that kind of environment that we live in now. So
I was really impressed how smooth it was. I was playing it through xCloud, and especially a game like Doom that you need to be really quick, Twitch shooter. It felt great. I really didn't notice any lag or anything, even when it like that little radar bar would come up, because if I was trying to use cellular.
So you've also Dexed your phone to your TV using xCloud.
I have not done that.
Okay.
I've Dexed my phone before. I tried it out once when you brought it up one time, but I didn't. I was playing it just on the Kishi, in the bedroom.
Yeah, so try it out using the application now, and you're going to be blown away. You're going to be like, oh,
okay.
It's like having another Xbox in your room. You don't even need one.
Sweet.
Well, Shock, you're blowing my mind right now. Not even playing the 2016 Doom. That one was great. And you know what? If I gotta tell you, Doom Eternal is such a fun ride from beginning to end. You will love the crap out of it, my friend. All right, moving on. Since we heard his voice, Jeremy, how's things over in the wide open countryside?
What's going on, my Canadian brother from another mother? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a great weekend. I did some gaming this weekend. I played a little game called The Suicide of Rachel Foster. It just so happens to take place in Montana, which is kind of, it's funny because I live in Montana, but that's what kind of drew me in initially. But it's basically a walking simulator slash horror game, but it's not your typical horror game. It's more of like a psychological one. You take the role of a female character, but without giving like too much information. She now owns like a hotel in Montana that your father died in the process and you inherited it. And then tragedy happens, when I think it was a young woman the father had an affair with, and you find out that the girl that committed suicide could be alive. And then, obviously the hotel is haunted in the process. But it's not like your boo scare, your jump scares. It's not like that. It's more like you hear noises and you see doors close. It's stuff like that. So it kind of plays tricks on the mind. But yeah, it's $20 right now, and it's a good game. I really enjoyed the story. So that was my week in a nutshell.
Nice. Kicking off October in a very proper fashion, I might add. Good stuff. Yeah, like I'll admit I didn't get to much gaming so far this weekend. Maybe after the show I'll get to some, but yeah, definitely in a creepy kind of scary game mood for sure. But hey, you know what? That's my bag too. I like scary games, stuff that it's kind of creepy. All right, moving down the list here, Centurion. Hey, buddy, how you been?
I'm doing good, doing good. Finally had some time to create some videos, play some games. Just looking forward to tonight's show and talking about Xbox. Am I the only person that checked out Star Wars Squadrons?
Yeah, I mean, I have no faith in EA anymore, but I mean, you say it's good, so I might give it a shot, but at this point, I don't know yet.
At this point, I think the campaign is longer than what you got for Battlefront 2. And it was $40.
That's not saying much.
Oh, I know that's not saying, but to me, I'm finding the campaign actually pretty interesting. It's got a good story, at least for me. But definitely, I was kind of shocked I was like, oh my God, is the campaign actually going to be longer than Battlefront 2?
I bought it and just started playing today. I think it's pretty good. I mean, if you like Star Wars and you like games like Rogue Squadron, or you like any of the flying segments from the older games, then this is going to be right up your alley. It just looks absolutely magnificent, and it's a real treat if you happen to have it on PlayStation because you can play the whole thing in VR. So
that's the one thing I actually want to check out is the VR, because I like how they made it to where, there's not much when it comes to character customization, but ship customization. I mean, you can like deck out the interiors of these ships, and that's where the VR situation is going to come in. And definitely, I think it's just a really cool concept. I wasn't too sure about this game getting into it. I was like, oh my God, this could be like a wasted $40, but here it goes. And I'm actually very pleasantly surprised.
Why would you want to customize your character in a flight game? Let me just ask you the question.
Well, it goes beyond that, because there is parts where, like in the multiplayer, you are posed in front of your ship. You customize your ship, obviously, including the exterior and the interior. But kind of the stuff like for your character, it's like different colored helmets or different kind of colored suits. And it just kind of, it's barely there because it's real quick. You barely see it. Yeah. But definitely, I'm just enjoying the fact that they put a lot more customization into the ships. And I mean, like I saw one customization where it was like C3PO's head up on a plaque.
Nice.
So
And
yeah.
I was taking a look at those cockpit views, man. That's super detailed. I was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
Dude, the graphics you're getting because it's only having to display out the windows. But the funny part is, each ship has its own feel. So I'm enjoying the amount of detail that they put into this game and what you have to do to like move power from one system to another.
It's all about the cockpit sliders, man.
All right.
Oh boy. Well, like
I mean, and no microtransactions, right?
I haven't dug that deep in to look for them. Let's just say they're unintrusive if they're there.
Keyword yet, but
EA is known for slipping them in after the fact. Newf, did you want to make a joke on that one?
Yeah, EA comes in pretty greasy.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, from the top, the bottom, left, right, they just come at you all of a sudden and they'll sneak it in. But but you know what, guys, like it's the funny thing is I love these types of games, these like piloting games, you're out with a squadron, but it's just, I'm kind of with Jeremy on this. I don't trust EA just because of I'm afraid of a lack of content, because we've been burned with previous Star Wars games before, or at least a good portion of them anyways. It's not even just Star Wars game. There's a few of their titles are just lackluster. Look at bloody Battlefield 5. But so I'm kind of skeptical on it. But hearing you guys say that you've tried it out for a bit and saying that it does have a decent chunk of content so far, that does give me hope. So I may have to look at it. I mean, hopefully it comes to EA
See,
Play.
at this point,
It's only $55 Canadian, and it's not even that bad.
See, at this point, I could say I paid $70 for the Elite Trooper edition of Battlefront 2, and I feel like I've gotten more content out of what's it called? This one, Squadrons, just because the story is longer, and I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of the multiplayer is definitely not a lot of PvP. There's like one PvP mode, and the rest of it is, I guess, if you want to call it hordes. But it's basically kind of like take the hill.
Wait, not PvP. What the fuck?
Take the hill without the hill. All right.
Well, they call it like battle cruiser defeat. It's basically you got to capture the opposing side's battle cruiser, but it's you, and if there's enough people in the lobby, it will be you with actual people on your side against AI, but if there's not enough people, it will fill in the squadron with AI on your side as well.
Okay. Because that's what I enjoyed in Battlefront 2 is like some of the PvP. Like
there's a dogfight part. It straight up tells you dogfight, and that one is just basically free for all.
Okay, cool.
I'm hoping when the Star Wars contract is up with EA, that Microsoft does something now with with the studios that they have. That'd be interesting.
No, absolutely. That is for sure, Jeremy. Just a heads up, Tim Dog and Megatron may or may not be joining us this evening, but just stay tuned. You may hear their voices pop in at some point. All right, guys, we will move on to the first topic of the evening. And we got to start off with this because there's been a lot of models going around, Xbox Series X and S consoles. Microsoft has given select outlets, YouTubers, and influencers Xbox Series X and S demo models. Of course, we're now in October and a month away from console releases, so Microsoft wants to start really kicking the marketing into gear. And basically, from the various hands-on demos being done, there's a lot of positivity I find coming from them, showcasing the different features of the new consoles. Newf buddy, I would like to start with you first on this one. I'll give you the honor. What's your takeaway from all these hands-on previews? Do they get you excited for the new Xbox Series X and S?
Absolutely, but the only thing I'm not excited about is I may have to go buy a new entertainment cabinet. Because this console is a little bit on the bulky side. So I think I'll be able to fit it in my cabinet. Probably have to put it down horizontally, But no, all jokes aside, what I've seen of it so far, the console looks magnificent. I mean, the holy moly, the boot up time alone, like compared to what we've gotten used to, is just insane. I mean, from a cold start to whatever, I think it takes like what now? Is it 30 seconds or even less than that or something like that? What is it? You guys probably get the stats, but it is super quick. And seeing the instant resume on games, people popping through old games. Larry Herb was talking about it and how he, quickly went into like some old game that he had from a long time ago and picked up right where he left off and all those sorts of things, and seeing the backwards compatible, some of the enhancements, and seeing some of the older games now run at, at least a full 60. And these are some of the games that aren't even actually optimized. They're just games that are hardware accelerated right out of the box kind of thing. So it's a very exciting time, especially if you got a back catalog of games and you're working on them, or maybe it was an older game that you just never got into and now you're going to check it out for the first time. You're going to see some real big benefits there. It only makes me wonder how good some of the, the actual, next gen supposed titles are going to look and play when they come out and they get their hands on with that, which I think I think the what do you call it, the thing comes down on the 15th or something like that. So hopefully people got some of those games. And there's been a lot of people with the Xbox. Like I said, there's a wide gauntlet. You got the media types, you got the influencers, et cetera, et cetera. And so far the feedback's been extremely positive. I don't really know if I've seen anybody really highlight anything that they didn't like. They say the machine is quiet. Like I said, it looks good. The controller is refined and feels amazing. Mm-hmm. And like I said, all of those games are just booting up super fast. I know they went back, they showed some stuff. I watched some video, like even like the old GTA 4, I think it was, and how now it looks better, but it also runs at like, it's a steady 60 frames a second. And we all know that, everybody does love 60 frames when you can get it and that sort of stuff. It just makes the games very fluid, and it doesn't take you out of the experience like games that consistently drop frame rates all the time and feel like they're slowing down and chugging. So, hey, I've been playing Switch games lately, and I know all about games that just all of a sudden kind of hit the brick wall, and it's like, oh, I'm walking against the wind all of a sudden. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But no, so far the response has been outstanding.
Newf, we've known the key features in the Xbox for a while now. So in terms of like seeing the key features in action, it doesn't really get me excited. I think the thing that really gets me excited, Newf, is the reality of having this bad boy in my home as we get closer to launch. But, Phil spoke about transparency, and, we're Sony. We're Sony in this. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Sony is yet to come out and explain or show anything. I mean, so if you're a customer on the fence about what system to get, I definitely take that into consideration. But for sure, the reductions in load times are very important to me as a gamer. The back compat is very important to myself because I own 1,200. Not physically, but digitally own 1,200 games now. So with the acquisition of ZeniMax, I'm all in on Xbox. There is no PlayStation in my book. So that exactly the reason why I canceled my PlayStation 5 pre-order, which means all my resources are going to be spent on Xbox for sure. So
Downer
I'm happy
went
about it.
Drinking the Kool-Aid, he is bathing in it.
So, but yeah, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. We're Sony. We're a month to go, and they haven't shown anything, to my knowledge.
We don't even know how to update the.
I don't know. I saw videos of some blonde-haired Asian influencer today showing it off, blowing into the controller and making a little dude jump around. I don't know what that was all about.
Yeah, I saw that.
Wait a minute. Nobody else got excited over that? All right, I'll be right back. I gotta go take down a tweet.
Oh man,
I'm just trying to imagine people trying to upgrade the memory or upgrade the SSD in there, and I'm just thinking like how you're gonna pry off. I don't know how easy it's gonna be, but it sounds like you have to pry off that big ass panel. I feel like someone's gonna snap it in half or something.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's kind of like a PC tower where you just kind of probably pop two screws and one side of it probably comes off pretty easily.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that ponies are dumb, So they're going to definitely break their system. So
Dude,
that's my
ponies
take
have
on
been
it.
having to break out a tool set for years to change out their hard drive. They've already got stuff to do this.
I can picture some dude trying to peel the fucking sides off to get the disc in, not realizing there's no tray or something, right? Like, be like, oh, I think you got to lift the side off of this thing.
And then
off.
mom goes, "Oh, son, you have the digital You have the
Dude,
digital."
I wonder, is that something we got to look forward to in the future, like on eBay or on some crazy mod website that somebody builds some kind of mod that goes into the digital PS5 to make it a disc PS5?
Well, yeah, I've already heard rumblings that possibly making like the portable disk drives like you used to be able to get for your PCs without them and stuff, and just plug it into the USB. So.
Yeah,
I don't know about that, but yeah, there's some really exciting stuff on the Xbox side. The whole, like, even quick resume, for example, you're literally changing like 6 or 7 games suspended at the same time, flipping back and forth. I saw it instantly, and everybody's raving about that. Like I know we can sort of do it on a limited scale on the Xbox One, but it's like basically if I switch between another game, sometimes that game will bloody crash in an instant, or whatever other app I have open. So if this works like as well as what they're saying, that has me excited, and it even works with the backwards compatible games from what I understand as well.
yeah. You know, I'm not really interested in that feature. I don't know. I don't know too many people that like to switch from game to game. I mean, I guess I like to
It'd be good
concentrate
for a
on
couple
one
games,
game.
at least.
Yeah, on a couple game, but I like to concentrate when I'm playing games. I like to concentrate on one game, and that's it.
I guess I am a freak of nature.
Yeah, yeah. You are.
Dude, I play like 4 or 5 games simultaneously. I just rotate out on how I feel that day.
Yeah, I'm excited for that auto HDR. I saw Kevin Kinson. He was playing Panzer Dragoon Orta with the auto HDR on. So
Nice.
excited to try some of those OG Xbox games. But
Yeah, but what does this say for our backlogs? It actually makes us look forward to our backlogs even more, because now we're going to get some games that are going to be a little bit more better than what we would have got on the Xbox One X even.
Yeah, frame rates and all. Absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah. And you still get the benefits with the S, right? It's just you don't get the 4K experience, pretty much, right?
Yeah,
Right.
the S is a 1440 machine.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people
But
are
even,
confused by
even
that.
Oh,
well, even that's
God.
pretty exciting. I mean, if you're getting your first console, getting your first Xbox, and you're going to get that super fast solid state drive and still get a lot of those benefits, right?
Yeah. No,
Yeah, absolutely. And to a family looking for affordability and value, that's definitely a plus.
Yeah. And just even the backwards compatibility too. You talked about the improvements over the One X, for example. Just seeing the frame rates just at a steady 60 frames per second over like the One X, kind of chugging along there with some older titles. Like I saw, what was it, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and it was just at a steady 60 frames per second. It looked really solid there, and just the stuff that it's doing to these what were large games this gen are just like it's just making it seem like it's nothing. This bloody system is a beast. Like, it is really impressive what they're doing here. And
now they really need to show. Oh, sorry.
No, go right ahead, man.
I was just gonna say that the one thing they do need to address is to actually do show off like a new game, which people are asking for. Not like a backwards compatible game, but an actual new one for like Cyberpunk. Whenever they get past that, whole crunch phase, they do need to make maybe a TV spot or something showing off Xbox Series X running Cyberpunk with at least as much of an optimization as it can have, to really kind of show off, okay, here's what this, the power in this thing can do. Because Sony is showing that with some of its games. So I think that's the only misstep that they have right now.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Cyberpunk, guys, I don't know if you guys saw it. Cyberpunk, the devs basically said that they're kind of breaking a promise that they didn't want to do crunch originally. It's an industry thing where crunch is kind of it's prevalent, to say the least, and the employees are working 6 days a week, extra hours, just to make the Cyberpunk 2077 November 19th release date. Do you guys think this game gets pushed back or it stays on track?
Nah, I think it stays on track.
Stays
But
on
I mean,
track.
people are freaking out of a month of work. I mean, come on. They're working. They get 5 days off or whatever during that month, and it's only a month. I mean, I remember going a lot longer than a month working straight days, but you know, I don't know why everyone's making a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
Somebody made a good point on like it was out maybe a stretch, but look at football players. You have like Tom Brady. He's gonna go in there and he's gonna crunch essentially and put in as many hours as he can to make sure when he goes to play on Sunday, because he only got like that one game or like a short time frame to get everything done. To cash in on this holiday season. That's if they release in February, then they're going to make a lot less money, a lot less sales. So, I mean, as long as they're compensated, which they're saying they will be, then I have no problems. Now, working like having salary people work more hours than what their salary calls for, that's screwed up. But if that's not the case and they're being compensated like they say, I don't see an issue.
I'm going to say if the CD Projekt Red devs are making Tom Brady kind of money, they'd be all signing up for crunch.
Yeah, I mean,
so like as far as like they're not the only. This is not the only industry that has crunch. I mean, every industry, whether you're in you're in construction, you're in whatever, there are timelines and there are budgets, and sometimes it's really hard at the start of a project to estimate how many man hours it's going to take to get stuff done. And game development is probably especially tricky because for the first probably year or so of development, a lot of these teams are working with new software, new tools, new engines. So a lot of the things that maybe you learned in the last generation for gaming kind of go out the window, and then you've got to compute for so many different configurations, and you're computing for, like I said, old consoles and the next gen stuff, and then you're getting dev kits, and then you're trying to some degree you're going back to the drawing board, which I think to some degree might have happened here with Cyberpunk because the game got delayed so far. Like we were supposed to have this game over a year ago, and now it's almost coming out neck and neck with the release of PS5 and the Series X. And I think at some point maybe somebody said, well guys, maybe we should try to optimize this game now to look and run better on the next gen consoles, considering this is probably going to be our last major release for a couple of years. With their track record, they don't pop games out left, right, and center. They're not Ubisoft. So crunch, like I said, I think as long as the people are getting treated fairly, it's a small, and you're only looking at a month or so. So say, they're working 6 days for a month. It's not really the end of the freaking world. It kind of sucks. But if you get compensated and you're not like, and all those things, I think the worst part of everything right now, and I would say for all of the game developers, not just CD Projekt Red, is the whole COVID thing, because we don't really know what the capacity is for all these studios, how many people were kind of laid off indefinitely, or how many people were really back. How much work time they actually lost when everything got shut down and everybody was up in the air. So I think that was had a lot to do with it too. Cause I think it was like, toward the end of last year, they were kind of saying, like the game is coming along really good. And we're almost down to the point where we're just fine tuning things. So I think that the whole COVID aspect really threw a monkey wrench into everything, even the console manufacturing stage for Xbox and PlayStation, which I think largely played a part into why we didn't see the unveilings earlier, because I think they were really behind. I'm starting to see some of the manufacturing dates are coming in at September on like Xbox One X's and stuff like that. So I mean, back in the day, these things were being manufactured the moment E3 basically ended. So there's a lot of crazy stuff going on, but I don't think it's the end of the world. And as long as those guys are getting treated fairly, properly, they got a good work environment, with people around them and stuff like that, I think they're going to be just fine.
Yep.
See, if I could add on, I just found out this week from my job that actually I have to work 6 days a week the entire month of October. So at least I'm being compensated for that. It happens, stuff happens and you got to keep deadlines like you're saying. But I also didn't they say they were getting profit sharing from the game or something? And when was the whole promise made for there to be no crunch? Was this before a concept of what we're going through right now with the crisis we're going through was even in someone's head.
I think it was them calling out other companies that were doing crunch.
Yeah.
I think that's where people were calling them out
After the
being
Naughty Dog
hypocritical,
fiasco,
I
yeah.
guess.
Yeah, well, I guess sometimes when you do something like that, I guess it's what happens. But, to meet a deadline, I guess it kind of shows how, sometimes things don't exactly go the way you hope they would.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I'm still looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077, but, we'll see what happens, guys. I'll believe it when it comes out, when I see it right there and then, when I have it in my hands, right?
Come on, there is no buts when it comes to Cyberpunk Invader. Come on.
This game's going to be nuts.
Yes, it is.
It sucks that it's not going to be there on day one with the Xbox, though.
Oh, it's a week later, really. I mean,
I know,
close
but I
enough.
have like those 3 days off. I was like, it's no, I'm not going to.
Got that new system, and I'm playing back
Yeah.
and pat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one glaring issue there. All right, just catching up on the super chat from Six Slayer, the $5. Let's see some more of that sweet Ace Combat 7 footage. Hoping it gets auto HDR in the Series X. Oh, buddy, maybe. I love my Ace Combat 7, so maybe expect it again sometime in the near future. Thank you very much for the generous donation, buddy. Always like seeing you in the chat. Some more stuff with the previews, guys. There's also news of more control over the storage. You can selectively uninstall parts of games to free up more space. Well, if the developers opt for it. I mean, that's pretty nice. We've seen that with some games already this gen. What was it? Crackdown 3, for example, it separated the campaign and the multiplayer. So that's kind of a nice thing. We're not going to be getting a lot of storage out of these consoles right out of the gate. So it would be kind of nice to conserve whatever space that we do have.
Yeah, they're banking definitely on these parts and these, the technology becoming cheaper over time. I remember when the 360 came out, those drives were pretty expensive. The hard drives were pretty expensive. And, now with the SSDs just being, it's just going to be crazier. It's just going to be more expensive. So I think 6 months down the line to a year, you're going to see those price drop for SSDs. So it's definitely a good thing.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. Yeah, just I can see storage being, kind of an issue right with the gates. So, hopefully we're going to have more devs involved there, and just to get them more on board into just being selectively what we can finish the games. I mean, look at bloody Call of Duty Modern Warfare. That game is constantly updating and has a massive file sizes. Oh, man.
I think it's like 200 gigs now. Something like that. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually I need to go
the biggest
back.
part you can't delete the biggest part, which is the free part, the Warzone, which drives me batty.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I have no interest in Warzone, and that's the one part of the game you just can't get rid of. It's like, oh my god, really?
Yeah. Like, I mean, I don't mind the Warzone personally, but I see what you mean. It would be nice to kind of uninstall like those unneeded sections, because I'm constantly having to manage my back library, and there's games that I want to get to eventually, but it's like some of these massive games, I wish that they could somehow compress them and just, I don't know, find ways to be more efficient with the file sizes, because you're eating up so much of these bloody hard drives. It's insane. I can't believe it where Modern Warfare is at the moment. Don't get me wrong, I like the content, some of the content that they're putting out, which I do need to get back to very soon. But yeah, I can just see the SSDs and the hard drives being an issue going forward. Hopefully we get more devs getting in on that. There was also kind of a silent announcement regarding preloading games. It seems like you can install data for any game that you want, even if you don't own it. You can just kind of preload it, and then when you buy it, it's just kind of right there and ready to go. I mean, for digital, for guys that go with digital games, it's not that big of a deal. But with guys with discs, that's huge. Right. Just
Yeah,
being
it's
able
the
to fire
same.
it up.
It's the same concept with keys. You download the particular disc, and you need a key to unlock in it. I mean, it basically does the same thing automatically once you purchase it. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point. Good point. But yeah, guys, it's just kind of nice seeing all this news, like Xbox right out of the gate in October, just firing off with lots of positive energy, positive news going into the launch. When I look back to 2013, this was definitely not the case. You just feel like, I'll ask any one of you here on the panel, like, does it feel like there's a change in energy and momentum shift from going into next gen compared to what happened at the beginning of this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you see Sony making the same mistakes that Xbox has made under the leadership of Don Matrick, for sure. Sony fan knows this, but they have that mindset. It's like a cult. They have that mindset, like no matter what Sony does or doesn't do, no matter how wishy-washy they are, no matter how anti-consumer Sony is, the ponies they would never ever admit that they're getting played. So, there's a clear double standard, the same way the media will never admit to it. And they're also mad that, Xbox has made fantastic moves, and, they cornered the market with the ZeniMax deal in a significant portion of that market. And I think they're just mad about that too. So, that's my take on it. But yeah, they definitely made some mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny watching a lot of them also say like, "Oh, look at Forza Horizon. It's at 30 frames per second on the Series X, which it being Forza Horizon 3." But I tweeted out and I called out Playground Games. I call out them and I call out Naughty Dog for sticking with 30 frames per second. But see, you're never going to hear that from a pony. So they're never going to call out Naughty Dog for sticking with 30 frames.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think personally the excitement itself it's a little bit tempered, okay? And what I'm going to say is PlayStation, there's no question about it. They ended this gen on an extremely good high for the most part. Like they've had a very successful console, one of the most successful ever. They've had, since 2018 alone, 2018, like, in the last 3 or 4 years alone, they've had some of the, the biggest and brightest games in the industry. There's no question they've got amazingly talented studios, and anyone says otherwise, I think, guys, it's just, you're looking at it through a very skewed lens.
Newf, you and I both know that gaming generations doesn't transition into success. I mean, the PS3 should have taught you that much.
Well, no, but that's it. They're they're going out on a high, but they're going into this gen sort of on that same thing that kind of got them in trouble with the PS3. They kind of went in with a bit of a cocky attitude. They're waiting for Microsoft to make all the moves here. Like constantly, Microsoft seems to always have to go first. They still went first with the unveil of the console. Went first with the price once again. And it's even funnier when Microsoft goes first and Sony's stuff looks worse, like in the eyes of the average consumer, like or most consumers, when they have the weaker console, all that stuff, and the price wise, they're going toe to toe. But I don't think Sony wanted to really go at $499. Probably Microsoft didn't either, but they kind of knew that was the sweet spot. They had to hit it. But what I'm saying with the tempered going into this is because for the first time, like even more than that last generation, I think it came to a quick realization that PlayStation 4 and Xbox One weren't really the greatest consoles that we should have had. Like if you think about it, the Xbox One X was probably the Xbox we wish we would have had right at the start of 2013. It's the kind of console that I think Microsoft wishes they had at the start of 2013. Obviously, the financials were different back then. The leadership was different back then. But I mean, the One X is an amazing console. That was an amazing, and when it was selling at $370 or whatever here in Canada, the thing was just cruising out the door. But we got this amazing hardware. Now, PlayStation 5 is an amazing console. At least it seems like it's going to be an amazing one. Xbox Series X is amazing. So now we got these beasts of consoles, but it seems like there's a lot of mixed messaging with the games. The messaging, the marketing is a bit weird on both sides. I mean, from Microsoft, they seem to be very clear about xCloud and Game Pass, but like already, like how come right now these guys got these consoles in their hands and we're not seeing the next gen game experiences? And same thing with Sony, they're not really showing off too much, and it's like the launch lineup seems a little bit pale in comparison to some I think that we've had in the past from both. So like I think, like I said, we're kind of excited, but I don't think anybody is as excited as we should have been and could have been. And of course, Xbox dropping the ball with Halo, that was huge. Like I said, hopefully like stuff like Cyberpunk and Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the third parties come through big time this year, because right now the first parties are looking a little bit weak, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Any word on like games like Medium and Scorn, like release dates?
I believe Scorn is going to be, I want to say early 2021 from what I'm to understand. The Medium, I haven't heard anything, guys. I mean, it's cutting it close. I haven't heard anything about the actual release date, whether it's still going to be around like the tail end of this year or for launch, or I just haven't really heard anything. It's just kind of weird on that front. I always assumed that it was going to be a launch game, but yeah, it's been kind of quiet. But we'll see. I know, Centurion, you've been like kind of keeping up on like the Medium and Scorn and stuff like that. Do you think they'll release it in time for launch, or they'll be pushed back a little bit?
You know, I actually checked in this last night. I was on the site, and they were showing a lot of the games that were available that were going to be on the like Xbox, Series X and Series S enhanced, and they were showing all the release dates for the games, and the Medium actually did not have a release date on it, regretfully. I really do not know when. I really hope they do release that game. But at this point, I don't know a release date on it myself. I've been keeping up on them just because I like the tech on them. But Microsoft and everybody's been really hush hush. That's where I'm kind of right there with you. That's where I wanted to wait till everybody said their piece. Cause yeah, it is getting a little, I don't want to say aggravating, but why is nobody showing really much of what we're going to get out in next gen? Are we at another stalemate where nobody really wants to show their cards just yet? Or are we missing something? But we know these games are going to look really damn good. I mean, has anybody seen the Cyberpunk trailer that was going around, at least for the video side?
Yeah, I'm not worried about not having. I mean, Cyberpunk's a next-gen experience in my book. Yeah. I mean, it looks insane. Cyberpunk is one of these games where it's gonna be polished. It's gonna look like a next gen experience with all the crowd, the crowd clutter and some of the things that you can do and see in the world. And I think it's gonna be a next gen experience to me in my book. So same thing for these games are gonna, like Valhalla. These games are gonna take up a lot of our time. We're not even gonna be thinking of next gen stuff at that point, because Cyberpunk is going to take a significant amount of time, and we're going to spend a significant amount of time in those worlds. So the same thing goes for Valhalla. So I'm not too worried about that. But I think definitely COVID did a number on some of this next gen stuff. Maybe that's why we're not seeing it. And I also think that development cycles are just so damn long that it just takes a while to get, like, for demos and stuff like that. For E3, they have a development team specifically for just the demo. They don't actually have a game. It's just that's what they develop for. So if you're showing somebody a demo on next gen stuff, it's only for like a particular level, a development cycle on that. So that's why they haven't shown anything yet. And it's just one of those things where I think COVID just did a number. So
yeah, see, everything I keep going back reading about the Medium, it just says holiday 2020. It just says late 2020, so probably December.
Yeah, but it could be in the launch window too. I think the launch window is considered 3 months. That's what's considered a launch window. So let's give them, until they say otherwise, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'm looking forward to the game just like you are. Same thing with Scorn. I'm looking forward to Scorn.
Can I just complain, by the way, Invader, that I was not part of Downer's brainwashing?
uh,
Yeah, see, Scorn, another one. It says Scorn Holiday 2020. So, yeah, it's been really. But,
yeah.
anyway.
No, I think Scorn's gonna be like, if I was my guess, I would say like February, March kind of a time frame. But
Have you guys, Invader? Have you taken a look at the Scorn gameplay?
Yeah.
It looks crazy. It looks like a unique first-person shooter. Very slow. It's like a very methodical. Very I don't know. It's just maybe what's the right word for it? Deliberate. But it's interesting for sure. I mean, I've never
reminds
seen
me of the first Prey on the 360.
Yeah.
Which they need to freaking have the original Prey 2 design.
Yes.
Bring that back. Because I was so
Prey
hyped
2.
for that. And then when they gave us what they gave us, which I'm looking forward to finishing that game too. But man, that Prey 2 first teaser trailer.
Yeah, I had a chance to finish Prey, and I thought it was Prey 2, and it was both Preys. Both Preys were really good.
I missed the Xbox 360 one.
Yes. That one was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like the stuff it was doing, like with people like walking on the ceiling, like it was just trippy game. It just like I don't know. Some of the stuff it did in the game was definitely different because that was like in the first launch year of it, 360, I believe.
Yeah, and I think we're pretty blown away by the mechanics in the game for sure.
Yeah, Shockley, did you see the gameplay that they had released before they canned Prey 2? It looked really cool.
I can't remember because it was so long ago now. I remember seeing the teaser trailer. I was like, oh, sweet, because I never thought that would get like a sequel, but because it wasn't still that big of a game at that time. But I was super hyped for it, and then to hear it got canned.
Yeah.
But
well, fun fact, I mean, it was Human Head that was creating that, and they got rebranded to Roundhouse Games, which is included in the ZeniMax buy. So
nice.
Yeah, no, so there's a lot
but
of
I feel
pedigree.
like they're not going to go back and now make a Prey 2 game when they have Prey as going in a different direction.
Well, Arcane seems to be at the helm with the new Prey, depending on where they go with it. I mean, I would like to see them go back in some way, but actually, I still need to finish, like you, I still need to go back and finish the newer Prey. But yeah, Prey's an interesting franchise. But yeah, guys, I'm really liking all the positive feedback from all these Xbox previews. I'm just really excited to see. We only have like a month and a bit left until these consoles come out, and yeah, just generally excited, man. Definitely. All right, just taking a look here in the chat. We got a lot of people watching us right now. Hello to Mega Bad Seed, Fun Speculation, Crispy Bomb, Infinite, Kedrian Hardy. Who else do we got here? Oh man, Pong Soul, Loopy Gaming, Fuzzy Belvedere, lots of familiar faces. Thank you guys for joining us. We will move on to our next topic, guys. And after last week's whirlwind of news, there's been some leaks regarding one of the properties that Microsoft recently purchased. Now, details about Bethesda's Starfield appears to have surfaced online, with old screenshots and possibly, very possibly, a release window. Now, a few days ago, Xbox Gaming Partnerships and Ecosystem VP Sarah Bond stated something, well, kind of interesting, and I'll quote her for this one. One of the things that has me most excited is seeing the roadmap with Bethesda's future games coming to Xbox console and PC, including Starfield, the highly anticipated new space epic currently in development by Bethesda Game Studios. So, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting language being used here. Jeremy, I'm pretty sure you'd like to dive in on this one first. Do you think Starfield will be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem?
Yeah, I do definitely in its ecosystem for sure. Phil's seen Starfield in action. You know, it was just part of the reason why he purchased ZeniMax, which you get Bethesda. But he is fully aware of what this game is about, even if its current state. I don't know how long or how far this game is off, but if you think Skyrim was huge, which it was, you really haven't seen anything yet in terms of what Bethesda's capable of doing. Starfield, I think, in my opinion, it's going to be one of these special games, the same way Skyrim was, the same way Elder Scrolls Oblivion and Morrowind were. Either way, I think Sony fans going to cough up money to play this game. So I think I reiterated this last podcast, but Todd Howard said he wanted to make a Star Wars type game. And I think they're really passionate about that. They're passionate about their new IP in Starfield because they've been working so long on the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series for a very long time. So I think it's going to be exclusive to the ecosystem, and it's just another. It's one of these things where that's why Xbox has to make these moves, especially buying up these big companies, because when you do that, you're essentially cornering the market. And, Xbox got a lot of studios when they purchased ZeniMax. And that's what happens when you buy, when you make that 7.5 deal, and you get the developers and the studios that Xbox got. That's what happens. That's the result that happens when you make a big purchase like that. So, yeah, I think it's going to be exclusive.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, because you look at what Xbox bought, and there's no way that they buy that. All those games that sell. You look at, for example, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Doom, Wolfenstein. Like, some of these properties sell somewhere between 10 to 15 million copies per game, per series, which is crazy numbers.
Yep.
And then, so those numbers, they're going to be such a large driving force to get people to play in your ecosystem. So I think a good portion, if not the majority of these games, will be exclusively on the Xbox system, with a couple of outliers.
And Invader, it's going to get to a point to where you're going to have no choice but to buy Game Pass if you want to play these games, because think of all the studios that Xbox has now, right? And think of all the talent that they have now and all the games and all the IPs that they're going to get. If you're a gamer, if you're a hardcore gamer, you're going to buy Game Pass. You're going to get day one a Starfield when it comes out. That's what's going to happen if you have Game Pass. So I think it's just a huge win for Xbox, and you're going to see next Xbox Game Pass become the next Netflix here shortly, especially when these games start turning out every month. Think about it. We're going to get a AAA game. We have the option to get a AAA game every single month when these games finally drop on Game Pass day one. And it's going to be just a crazy experience for everybody, for PC, but not PlayStation 5 owners, just Xbox and PC owners. So,
right, yeah, no, it's crazy. Like, I know there's a lot of people holding out, but when you think about it, it's like you see PlayStation raising the prices of their first-party titles and increasing them by like $9-10 recently. And you're gonna have these titles coming in from Bethesda. You can get them in Xbox Game Pass for, in some cases $1, right? You're just paying a subscription
You make
fee.
a good point. Because if I'm a parent, obviously, but if I'm a parent going to buy a system for my child, for my kid, for my teen, why in the hell would you want to buy a PlayStation that's going to cost you, it's going to cost $80 for these games when you can get, now with EA access, I know that's probably our next topic, 70 plus titles on this. just the value and the gameplay that you can get for just pennies on the dollar, really. The sheer amount of content that you can get is astonishing. It really is. So it's just a win-win.
Microsoft didn't spend $7.5 billion for you to circumvent their ecosystem. So
Yeah.
unless Game Pass is coming to PlayStation, which Sony's never going to go with, that's the only way it's happening. So.
Yeah. Actually, you look at
And
all...
I think
Oh, go ahead.
that's Invader. That's the environment that Sony created. You know, they like to have these timed exclusives. They go up and pick up Final Fantasy, whatever it is, and around 15. What is it, 15 or 16? I forget.
16.
But anyway, that's a product of their environment. They did this. So, you know, Xbox had no choice but to go out and buy these, you know, a huge company. And, you know, if they didn't, who knows? Sony would have had Starfield as a timed exclusive now. And that's a scary thought because Starfield's going to be a huge game.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, too, that you bring that up because supposedly there was a rumor going around that Sony was working on exclusivity for a deal for Starfield before the whole ZeniMax, they got bought. So Sony, they really missed out. I mean, they were already working out deals for Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop, and then you look at this, it's like, ooh, man, they could have had the next big RPG from Bethesda sealed, and, well, they kind of blew it for the timing-wise.
Yes, Sony doesn't have the the wallet that Microsoft does, not even by a long shot. And that's why you see them make smaller deals for Insomniac, which I think they paid, $300 to $500 million for Insomniac. You're not going to see them pull out the pocketbook for someone huge. I mean, I could be wrong, but it's just one of those things to where they can't compete on Microsoft's
It'd
or
be a
Xbox's
much bigger
level.
risk for a purchase like that for them.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Now, could you imagine another company getting a hold of Bethesda instead of all the people that have put out petitions for content to be kept multi-platform and all this other stuff. But meanwhile, we've been praising what Sony fans and Sony themselves call traditional exclusives. But we see now what traditional exclusives get you, because now Sony has kind of painted themselves in a corner. I'm sorry, I've always found that the exclusive content that PlayStation kind of always waves in everybody's face has been very lackluster. The only thing they really give is their first-party studios. There's a certain quality there. There's like an itch that gets scratched, but I hate to say it, it's the same scratch, same itch every time because the games do share commonalities with each other. But yeah, definitely going back to this whole thing. What were you saying, Newf?
Well, I was just going to say, Phil did make one point when he said it's on a game by game basis or case basis, right? And I'm still not 100% sitting here thinking, they're going to lock everything into the ecosystem of Xbox, and it's a win-win for Microsoft. That's the good news. It's win-win either way.
It's a win-win.
They're going to get their money. They're either going to get you through xCloud, the Game Pass. They're going to make a fan who traditionally doesn't buy Xbox go out and buy an Xbox, whether that be an Xbox One, a Series X, or a Series X. But like when Microsoft spent over $2 billion on Minecraft, look, they could have easily locked that down to the Xbox ecosystem a couple of years ago and drove console sales through the roof, because Minecraft is one of the biggest properties on the planet and has been for nearly a decade now, right?
Wasn't it in the contract for that game to be kept multi-plat?
Well, possibly, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it might have been at the time to be multi-plat, but that's like it's win-win for them because they don't carry they're going to get the money out of you. You're going to make a profit, but you take games like Elder Scrolls Online that already have a marketplace of online players. It would kind of seem a little bit dirty if all of a sudden the people that have invested in that ecosystem and they're playing on that game, and you could just go, well, now you just need an Xbox. If you don't have an Xbox, this game is dead to you. You can't play it anymore. I think they're going to want to continue to get revenue from some of those games, and I think a lot of it's going to come down to, again, they're going to look at games, and maybe at first they won't come out, say, on a PlayStation platform, but what they'll do is they'll say, We're going to hold it back. We won't make any announcements. We're going to see how this game, if this game drives sales on our consoles, if we notice our Game Pass numbers going up, if they start seeing a lot of stagnant numbers and they notice that certain things aren't moving the needle, they might just go, what do you think, guys? Do you think, this game is not hitting where we want it to hit right now? So maybe we in the next 6 months, we make an announcement. It comes out for PlayStation. Yeah, PlayStation, they're going to be the bitter fan that says, friggin', I'm not buying it. I'm not touching it because of what? Microsoft bought my favorite company and my favorite franchise. So F you. You're going to get a few of them. But you know what? More often than not, when people get over, being childish, they're going to buy the games that they love no matter what. That's the thing. If you're a big Doom guy, you're a Wolfenstein guy, or definitely Oblivion, the Elder Scrolls series is massive. So they're going to leverage that one way or the other. So they're going to keep it exclusive to Xbox, and they're going to get everybody on xCloud, on an Xbox console, or on PC, and most of the people are going to buy into Game Pass, which is ultimately, I think, what they want, because they want that guaranteed subscription money, because that's the thing. Subscriptions are almost guaranteed. Most people will renew. Most people keep that money flowing, and constant money is always better than money you can't count on, because you can't count on a person buying your game when it comes out. Like, that's always a variable. As big as the game might be, half the players, like the Star Wars Squadrons game, does EA know for sure that people are going to buy it? But if it's in a subscription, doesn't really matter if you play it for 10 minutes or 2 hours. Like, that's the whole deal. Game Pass is guaranteed money. It's something that they can easily sell to stockholders. It's something that they can watch the numbers of very quickly, and they can modify it on the fly. They can increase the prices, and even if they increase the price, it's still going to be worth the money, because you're getting hundreds and hundreds of games, and these franchises are beloved. That was the thing with this deal too. It gives Xbox now, if it didn't before, it gives them instant recognition with the community, with the gaming world, because a lot of people, if you say how many guys we hear, I can't stand Xbox because you know what, guys, you got Gears, Forza, and Halo. Well, guess what, buddy? Now we got Elder Scrolls, we got Doom, the list goes on. Now those excuses are starting to slowly go out the window, where the other side can't look at you now and go, well, you got no games. What do you mean we got no games? Fuck, man, we got 23 studios. There's going to be more than enough games to keep you busy for the next century. Like, the content's going to come, and Microsoft can leverage it, because if guys don't want to buy in, if they want to keep it exclusive, like I said, they'll get people over. Look how many consoles that Sony sold at the start of this year when Final Fantasy went exclusive. Now, we know it's a timed exclusive, but a lot of people who are real Final Fantasy fans aren't waiting for the Xbox version. Guess what? If you're a multi-console owner like me, I went and bought it. I know it's coming to Xbox. Damn it, I want it, but I went and bought the PlayStation version because it's out and I wanted to play it. And a lot of people are going to feel the same way. So it's win-win for Microsoft. They're going to get that money, whether they keep that stuff exclusive to their ecosystem or they decide to go timed exclusive. And what I would do too is, if I put it out timed exclusive, I would make sure that my games are like Nintendo's games. I wouldn't drop them in price. I'd keep them at almost full price and say, you know what, guys, if you don't want to buy into Game Pass and you don't want to buy one of our consoles, or you don't want to play in the PC ecosystem, then guess what? Suck it up. You're going to pay the damn full price. We're going to charge you more, and it's just bite the bullet, right?
Well, I think you kind of answered the question right there, but that's part of the reason why I think that's not coming to PlayStation and it's not coming to Nintendo console, because for that Game Pass experience where they want the subscription rather than just the units sold. So that's what makes me believe it's not coming on the PlayStation. They want people to subscribe to their platform, to their ecosystem. That's pretty much the reason.
That's where I like at least some of the numbers I've seen, at least when Jez kind of gave his case. Let's really look at the most successful PlayStation game out there. How many copies did it really sell? As a matter of fact, we were talking about Spider-Man, and I think Spider-Man is still around somewhere around 13, 15 million copies sold. So you really have to look at that number and weigh it against the fact that you now have a subscription service where it's guaranteed money. So, do you think you're going to make the same amount of money with it being on PlayStation, or are you going to make the same amount of money with it being in Game Pass? And no matter whatever you do on the PlayStation side, you have to cut PlayStation in on. So you would kind of rather do it on your ecosystem for sure. I know games like Elder Scrolls Online, I play it heavily. There's no way they're just going to walk out and say, hey, guess what? Your guys' games are gone. They're not like PlayStation. They don't shut down games like that.
Yeah, but Elder Scrolls Online is a little bit different.
No, that's what I mean. Somebody mentioned Elder Scrolls Online. They mentioned it, saying that like the game wasn't just going to stop working. No, definitely Elder Scrolls Online games with established IP. They said they were going to fulfill contracts like the game that's coming out right now, Deathloop. So definitely, but I do see them kind of locking down a lot of future titles, especially ones that they know that are going to be serious Game Pass pushing titles. Because definitely Microsoft at this point is a third-party publisher, and they're going to be looking at pretty much how successful third-party publishers have been on the PlayStation platform, and definitely they're going to be weighing that against how much money they can make on their own platform. And the ecosystem of Xbox is so massive that, in my opinion, I don't think they need PlayStation at this point.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I think what they might do is pick and choose exactly which games might go on the play, because you have successful titles and you guys know about them. Soccer Cars, Rocket League is a really successful game. It's third party. The ability to play cross platform, or to play with PC players is a powerful thing. And, the money generated, the revenue generated for something like that, especially when you have, daily microtransactions that refresh. Games like Fortnite, they make so much money, and you don't have to have just every single Xbox game on Sony's platform. But I think they're going to pick and choose, like a Minecraft, on other platforms, because it makes sense. They're not going to do a first person game. Like if Skyrim's going to be first, single player, they're not going to do a Sony launch on that. So I think they're going to pick and choose whether or not that particular title makes sense on that particular platform.
But to put out there, if a game does show up on PlayStation's ecosystem, I'm still not going to care, because at the end of the day, it's going to be cheaper on the Xbox side no matter what, whether you get it through Game Pass or you buy the game physically, because even outside of first-party studios, we've seen a lot of price raises in games on the PlayStation side, and this is outside of first-party studios. So it's just that no matter what, you're getting the better end of the deal by being in the Xbox ecosystem.
And, it's going to be curious the next couple of months to see exactly what Microsoft and Xbox does in terms of acquisitions, because, again, if they have another big buyout, if they have another big purchase, I think Sony's in trouble. I really do. I really believe that in my heart. I think Sony's in trouble, to where Xbox is cornering the market, and content is going to be few and far between, as opposed to the Xbox ecosystem, where we're going to get a lot of these large titles every month. So to me, if you want to just quiet, I call Phil the quiet assassin. If you want to do something like that and just take Sony out of the equation, even though they're not going to be out of the equation, they're always going to be in it. But you do that, you have a big buyout. So,
but that's just it. Microsoft did this just as much to take this out of the hands of Google and Amazon, I think, as they ever did against PlayStation. Everybody just constantly, this is against PlayStation, but no, this was a smart business move, because they need lots of content to keep Game Pass relative, right? That's the thing. Like Netflix knows this. Netflix had to develop all sorts of new content from their own talent pools now, because they're starting to see that other subscriptions are taking content away from them. So what did they do? They had to create it. So if you can't buy it, you have to create it. And it's much easier to obviously buy something than go out and make something from scratch. So if you already have established studios, you don't have to build them from the ground up, much easier. So a big smart purchase for them. It was to keep the eyeballs focused on Game Pass, because they know there are other competitors breathing down their neck for that space, especially in the streaming side of things. Maybe not necessarily the console, but that's just it. Microsoft is not 100% focused on just, we got to sell Xboxes. They want to sell subscriptions because they know that's where the real money's at. And it's also, the bigger the numbers they get, the better it is for attracting more content to their service. Why do you think EA is coming on board with them now? Because EA has saw their numbers sort of dwindle, because people just don't see the value in buying just EA for themselves, right? Because EA only has so many studios and so many games, and not everybody's going to want to just play Madden and FIFA all the time, right? So they realize that they stand a better chance of actually making more money if they at least partner with Microsoft. They can get at least a slice of the pie, and it's a win-win for both companies, because having EA on board with this EA Play, which comes out the day of this console dropping, just made Game Pass even more attractive. And that, if that continues, if that trend continues, say Ubisoft comes on board at some point, maybe with something with their, and all of a sudden you got all of this content from the biggest and best developers in the industry, and most of them are tied to Game Pass. Can you imagine how much easier it's going to be to sell that to when you walk into a studio and say, we want to get your content on our box. What's it going to take? And they're like, dude, you guys are like selling subscriptions like crazy. We're on board. We want our game to play. We want people to try it. Because even the indie guys will tell you how many indie developers have seen their success skyrocket because of the exposure that Game Pass is given, where most people would never try their games. They're trying their games. And to them, that is more important than having a game sit in a fucking independent store and waiting forever for people to buy it, maybe at a discount, if ever. Like, it's better to be played and noticed than to be just sitting there and going, man, nobody's playing our games at the end of the day.
And Newf, that's why I think that Xbox is so far beyond what Google and Amazon are doing right now.
Holy.
If I was a company looking to buy, someone for me to purchase me, right? Am I going to go to Xbox, who's been in the industry for, X amount of years and already has a solid foundation in the xCloud and Game Pass? Or am I going to go to a Google Stadia? Are they even serious about gaming? Is Google even serious about gaming? And Amazon is such in its infancy stages. Yeah, even though these two companies, the two giants, have a lot of money. They have an infinite amount of money. To me, I would rather go to the Xbox platform where they have strong leadership, they have a strong foundation, they have a strong everything. Why would you want to go, if I was another company, why would you want to go to someone like Google, who is, again, who knows what Google's doing right now, and to Amazon, who is just barely getting into the game now and is late to the party?
And there's also the fact, there's other companies like. Oh, go ahead, Shock.
No, I was going to say they also can see that Microsoft has had its like bad turns, even with the OG Xbox maybe not doing as well, selling like a little over 20 million, and then the 360 having the red ring of death, having to like bail themselves out of that, and then going through the Xbox One, and they're still around, so they're not going to just leave the first. If Stadia kind of like dips and didn't really go anywhere, they're probably not going to stick with it. But.
Well, you can also see from other developers that have dealt with Microsoft and been bought with Microsoft, left and came back. Microsoft, in a way, makes sure that these developers are able to keep the identity that they created around themselves with too much interference from their side.
Yep. And now the handcuffs are gonna be taken off. Yeah, Microsoft and Xbox are gonna have to cater to stakeholders, to stockholders, but it's not gonna be as significant now because Microsoft makes more money on the back end than anybody else, and all these other companies, they're not going to make 1,800 Assassin's Creed games. They're not going to make, all these other games that just come out every single year to appeal to these shareholders. We're going to see the talent come out. We're going to see these games that take risks. We're not going to get the same old every single year. or every single game that comes out.
Totally.
And then there's other companies too that have the potential to come in. Like we've known for a little while now. I want to say at least a year that ZeniMax was up for sale, and we talk about Amazon, we talk about Google, also Tencent too. Tencent's been buying a lot of different companies. Like I would much rather Microsoft buy them than a company like Google, who doesn't know what the heck they're doing with the Stadia. Amazon is still getting their themselves going, and Tencent, well, I really just don't want Tencent involved in anything else right now. So Microsoft to me is like the perfect case for ZeniMax and Bethesda, and to me they're in relatively safe hands. The other options just weren't good in my opinion. So
yeah, but at the same time, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that's another beauty of the Game Pass. I know everybody always hears because I didn't buy Game Pass that I hate it, and I've never once said I hated Game Pass. I totally see why people have it and what the value is. But the beauty of this Game Pass and this as well is that it almost guarantees that studios stay open now, because the success of Game Pass is relying on content, both good and both is quantity and quality. Yes, that we need to have the quality games there too, but I think overall they need lots of content. They have to have lots of fresh ideas. So again, like you mentioned, you're going to see a lot of content. You're going to see a lot of different ideas come to fruition. Those developers now can afford to take a little bit more risk because they're no longer completely dependent on the success of each and every individual game, because they're not counting on this having to sell a console. They're not like, well, if we don't sell 10 million copies of this game now, our studio might close next month. So I think now if a game comes out and it doesn't do the numbers that they had hoped, it doesn't make as much difference as it used to. I mean, I could see studios maybe shrinking, but I don't really think we're going to see the same amount of studio closures anymore that we used to, simply because of the nature of the business that they're in now.
Newf, you bring up a good point, because a lot of these studios that Xbox picked up, some of them were in trouble. To be honest, Double Fine wasn't doing too good. I know that for a fact. Another one like In Exile, another one was another one that was in trouble. So once Xbox bottom out, or Microsoft bottom out, I keep saying bottom out, Jesus. But I think now, exactly what you said, the handcuffs are going to be taken off now. They don't have to worry about where the financing is coming from, whether it's Kickstarter, whether it's looking for another publisher. They don't have to worry about that anymore. All they have to worry about now is making a good game. That's all they have to worry about now. They already know they're going to get the backing from Phil. They already know they're going to get the backing from Xbox. Now it's just a matter of making the games that that can sell itself.
That's why Bleeding Edge exists, man. It may be like 5 years ago that game didn't come out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And now, guys, you look at it like this too, because they've completely retooled their stable of first-party studios. And before, you guys had kind of alluded to it earlier, they were just kind of Gears, Forza, Halo, and maybe one or two others. Now it's like they're going to be the home to the best Western RPG games out there. You got Fallout, you got Elder Scrolls, you have the Outer Worlds, you have Avowed coming, you have what else? You have Fable coming. There are so many RPGs coming on Xbox alone, and they're all going to be locked into their ecosystem. You're not going to find them anywhere else. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy the quality that's coming out. That's just one genre alone. The impact of that is unbelievable. Like, they're making waves, and it's all going to be locked into the Game Pass, and you can only find it in their system. So, but and of course Starfield, for crying out loud, the next big Bethesda RPG. But guys, I mean, we can go on about this forever, but funny enough, we were talking a lot about Game Pass here, and I will move us along because we did get confirmation of when EA Play will be made available on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. It arrives November 10th, just in time for the Xbox Series X and S launch, bringing in, well, it brings with it a nice back catalog, to say the least. Now, I'll keep this open to whoever wants to go for it, but does incorporating EA Play into Xbox Game Pass at launch really help out the Xbox Series X and S, considering, we did lose Halo Infinite, right? So...
Well, for sure. I mean, that's 70 games, I think, are currently on EA Xbox EA Access on Xbox. So regardless of your thoughts, on the EA's business practices, which are shitty, their products and services, having this on Game Pass, having the 70 games we talked about is huge. That also means all the new EA games are going to have the trials are going to be available, which you can download. I think it's 4 days or 5 days ahead of time. Centurion, correct me if I'm wrong. How many days is it? I think it's 7 days, actually. So the ability to download the new games that EA is coming out with.
For EA?
Yeah, to try them.
Yeah, I think it's like 7 days.
Yeah, it's like 7 days. So, and this includes the discounts. I think you're going to be able to have access to the discounts that EA offers. So Game Pass is the best value. It's the most attractive deal in gaming, period. I don't think EA's access has been a huge success, which is why I believe in part that they're going this particular route. Whatever the deal is in place, Game Pass, I think they have it's 15 million subscribers, something like that. But if it's an opportunity to sell more EA games, I think it's just a win-win for Xbox and EA. So it's a good move. We have more games now. There's some decent titles in there. I'm not going to knock all EA games, but there's some decent titles on there now. And now I think what's the current, once it launches, and it's November, right?
Yeah, November 10th, I believe.
Yeah, so once that launches, you're going to have I think it's over 200 games on xCloud and Game Pass. So it's a win-win for sure.
Yeah, like even when you look at the sports titles alone, that fills a hole, you could say, in the Game Pass catalog. So right there, they're addressing a lot of issues. I'm just kind of scrolling down the list here. I mean, you have access to Titanfall, Star Wars Battlefront, Skate, Plants vs. Zombies. A lot of people forget about this Crysis. You got the Crysis series on there. Really fantastic games. Yeah, Battlefield, A Way Out. Some really memorable titles on there, even like for the backwards compatible. Mass Effect, Dragon Age, like all kinds of titles. Like, again, I'm really picky when it comes to EA titles, but I gotta say, Need for Speed. Again, I'm just going down this list here as I'm talking, but yeah, they got a fantastic back catalog, and they haven't even added in the newest, not Squadrons, the other Star Wars game that released last year. The name
Jedi Fallen Order.
Yeah, crazy list.
By the time it launches Invader, I think Xbox Game Pass is already going to have 20 million subscribers. That's my take on it. So now we're talking about EA having another 20 million players in their ecosystem and their lineup of games. They're heavy on microtransactions already. It's not like EA is going to come out empty pockets in this deal. They're making a lot of money just on that, but on that particular case alone.
I feel like they're going to be making more money now than they have been off of just having that service, because I mean I've never felt compelled to get the EA Play, and now this right here, I definitely Game Pass. I mean, damn. I mean, I'm glad I bought in.
And then now the servers for these particular games that are kind of dwindling in numbers are going to be rejuvenated. There's going to be more players on them because more people are going to be playing these games. So if I was someone, like an EA or someone that wanted to be in Game Pass, the life of that game is now going to be extended, which means your revenue is now going to be extended on that. So why wouldn't you want to join in the fun?
And I can attest to that, because before Elder Scrolls Online got put in Game Pass, I mean, there was times you'd be able to walk around and you'd almost time it. Like the only time you'd ever see large amounts of people were on the weekends. All of a sudden, it's put in Game Pass, and there's like more life and people to the game.
Yeah, no, it definitely brings life into old games. Actually, speaking about Game Pass, guys, entering this month, I don't know if, I mean, we had talked about it earlier because we have Doom Eternal, Forza Motorsport 7, just like lots of big additions coming. I mean, Shockley, obviously, you downloaded having a good time with Doom Eternal, but just Game Pass is on such a roll. I mean, we forget that Microsoft is going to be adding so many more games to their back catalog just from Bethesda alone. It's going to be insane the next coming months. Oh yeah, and also Brutal Legend as well from Double Fine. They own that. Like, actually, has anybody here played Brutal Legend? That is, I love that game. I know a lot of people didn't like it for its strategy elements, but man, oh man, I really liked Jack Black's performance in it, and I would love for them to be able to do a sequel to that game. I mean, we've already seen Jack Black teased in the Psychonauts 2, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was something else going on there. I would love to see a sequel.
Yeah, that was a great game too. Very underrated game.
Yeah, it had great dialogue. I enjoyed the world. Heck, they even had Ozzy Osbourne guest in that game too. It had a lot of good ideas. It just, I think EA published that game too, if I'm not mistaken. It just kind of fell below their expectations, but I guess a lot of games do in their eyes. But yeah,
I wonder if they're working on that BC of that particular game. I hope so.
No, well,
that'll be cool.
It's gonna be in Game Pass though.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, it's coming this month, I think. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so just perfect timing actually for this month. But just something about that game that it's just a lot of fun. I like those kinds of strategy element games. I know it didn't get a lot of fanfare.
I wanted to let you guys in on something too, because you're talking about Jack Black. You know, Jack Black was recently put in a game, right?
He's always put in a game, buddy.
He's a popular fella.
He was put in Tony Hawk, the remaster.
Oh yeah.
He's an unlockable character called Officer Dick. and basically he looks like a cheap mall security guard.
That sounds about right.
So yeah.
That's kind of random, but he's in a lot of things too. Actually, it's pretty awesome that he's involved with a lot of gaming elements these days. There are a lot of games.
At least that's what the articles say, that because they're showing images of him saying that he's Officer Dick. I haven't unlocked the character, but yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's cool. Yeah, no, that's really cool, guys. But EA, Game Pass is just getting so big. I mean, we're getting EA Play at no additional cost. Do you guys see another big publisher joining sometime soon, like a THQ? I know a lot of people talk about Ubisoft, but I would like to see THQ personally, or...
Well, THQ, you can get them at a reasonable price. I think they're called THQ Nordic now. I forget exactly what they're called. They're no longer the THQ that we knew before back in the days. So I think they just rebranded and they're called THQ Nordic. Yeah, I don't know. You can get them for a good deal. I know that. So, but I personally, they have some nice IPs for sure. Invader. But do I see Xbox buying them out? They have some decent studios that are involved with them.
Well, maybe not buying them out, but just adding like what they're doing with EA Play, getting some of their back catalog, working out a deal. I mean, I would argue some people are saying this in the chat to address, Japanese titles. Yeah. Maybe Capcom or Sega. Obviously, they're very, very friendly with Sega.
You gotta go with Sega. I mean, come on. You instantly have all these classics, all these IPs. We talked about it till I was blue in the face about that particular topic. How crazy it would be for Sega to join the Xbox ecosystem, the things that you can
I
do
feel
with
like
the
Capcom
marketing.
would be bigger though.
No, I don't think so. The things that you can, well, yeah, there's some truth to that
As
because
far
the
as the
thing,
IPs right now.
yeah, but the things you can do with a Capcom and Sega in terms of the merchandising, it'd be insane, and you'd be automatically you'd have a footprint around the world. We talk a lot about Xbox specifically being, a US centric company, someone that just, US, it thrives in the US as opposed to in the EU or in Japan or some of these other places. But yeah, if you purchase a Sega or a Capcom, again, overnight, you can establish a foothold in some of these places where Xbox doesn't necessarily have a far reach. And that's why I think buying somebody out like a Capcom or a Sega makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I got 4 studios that I think Microsoft should definitely go after. And a couple of
Let's
them
hear
are
'em.
tightly knit with Microsoft already. One, I would happily buy Team Asobo. Because first of all, they did a heck of a job with a Plague's Tale,
They
and
did.
mostly that flight simulator game has got some
Yeah.
serious next gen graphics. So we know that studio's got some serious graphic talent, and people have definitely complained that Microsoft Studios has not pumped out the same level of fidelity as a lot of Sony's in house. So Sobo would definitely be one I would try to lock them down if at all possible. I would think.
Newf,
Yeah,
I have a
go on.
rebuttal regarding any kind of flying or driving games. To me, they're the easiest kind of games to develop for. So I don't really take that in consideration because there's no real moving parts to the game. It's very basic. And that's just my opinion. Maybe I'm an armchair dev, but uh,
Yeah, but they
um,
did a Plague's Tale, and Plague's Tale was one of the I think one of the best games that came out. What was it, last year when it
yeah,
came
you
out?
are correct about that's a great
And
game. I
that
really
game looks
like that
stunning.
game. Yep.
Looks a good story, different, interesting concept. So, like, I'm just saying, I think they have at least they have the talent pool there. Besides the Sobo, I mean, why don't they lock down a studio, a little indie studio like MDHR? The guys that made Cuphead. Those fucking
Yeah.
man, they're obviously passionate about what they do. They made one of the probably the best platforming games in any generation, let alone one of the best ones that ever come out on an Xbox or any other platform for that matter. The game has been absolutely nuts. Another studio that I don't think gets enough love and recognition is Avalanche Studio. They've made games for a variety of publishers over the years. The ones that made Mad Max. I'm pretty sure the list goes on. You could probably Avalanche. They also did, I think, what's that one?
Avalanche.
Just Cause.
Avalanche
Just
has
Cause
some talent.
series.
Yeah.
Avalanche got major talent in there. They made some games, and they just did for that. For some reason, that studio never seems to get the recognition they deserve. But they know how to make some cool ass games. Here's another one that I think is tailor made for Game Pass. By someone like Supermassive Games. Supermassive Games, they're awesome. They're Canadian, and they know how to do the storytelling stuff. They're the ones who did Man of Medan. They did the Until Dawn franchise, so that game was published under Sony. Man of Medan and their latest game, I think, are under Namco Bandai. But just think about that. A studio like those guys who obviously know how to do story, they know how to do graphics, and with their kind of content, they could literally make a TV series made for Game Pass. We're literally episodic content that constantly keep people in their environment, and you tune in every couple of months to get the latest episode, and there
That's
you go,
awesome.
baby.
That's
You make your own TV series game right from Supermassive, and that would be like it's never really been done before, like a continuation of a game. And another thing, I guess, that I threw out, I think it was sometime today in one of the chats I was in, and people will probably think I'm crazy, and it might be a little different now that EA Play is in the picture, but I was thinking, you know what, why don't Microsoft invest it in some of the old studios that made really good sports games and brought sports games back into the fold? But here's the deal. Instead of making an annual edition of this sports game and that sports game, you just make one hell of a damn good sports game. You put it in Game Pass, and instead of having to suck your customer into a $70, $80 game like EA every friggin' year, you just do the roster updates and you add the game modes, and boom.
Newf, I think that's what's going to happen to Forza Motorsports. That's why it doesn't have 7 or 8 behind it. They're just calling it Forza Motorsport, and I think it's going to be exactly what you're talking about right there. And that's part of the reason why I think Halo Infinite is going to be called Halo Infinite. But I mean, that's just another topic for another day.
Definitely. Well, guys, I mean, EA Play being in Game Pass, it's huge. It's huge, definitely. And I would like to see more of these big publishers in them. As far as the acquisitions go, they're definitely not done. Satya has basically confirmed that right after spending $7.5 billion to say the least. That's massive, absolutely massive, super massive, as Newf has been saying. But we'll move on.
Supermassive or submassive? What is it?
I think it's
Supermassive, right?
super massive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, guys, we will move on to some PlayStation news actually, and we've been seeing some interesting articles start to trickle out. We were talking about this a bit before the show started, and considering Sony's been rather silent, for in quite a few aspects. The console hasn't really seen a lot of showtime for the past month. And you know what? We haven't gotten any information about cross saves and progression. And it seems to be a hot topic when you look at game upgrading. And most recently, game studios behind Yakuza, Like a Dragon, Maneater, and Dirt 5 have confirmed that PS4 game saves, they won't be carried over to the PS5 if you're a player that decides to upgrade on the PlayStation 5 version of the game.
Well, not only that is you're gonna have to pay $20 more for your goddamn game.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely. I mean, to me, it's insulting to say the least. But Shockley, buddy, I'll head to you first on this one since you had brought it up a little bit earlier. Should Sony be communicating better on the whole cross-gen game saves and upgrades thing? Because, it's kind of insulting in my opinion.
Thank you, Shock.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean they've definitely been wishy-washy on the communication. I mean, they could have been out from the get-go. Hey, this is what Miles Morales is going to look great on the PS5. It's also coming to PS4, but here's the benefits you get on the PS5 version. So they could have done that from the start. So they've only kind of brought that on themselves. And now with some of these save feature issues, I don't know if that's an issue or if it's just something on their side that they have to maybe validate each game differently. Who knows? But that sound is starting to be seems like it's starting to be an issue because it's happened to more games more often, or more and more like Dirt 5, Yakuza. I think Maneater, and I think there's a few other games. So it's weird that you can't bring over your cross save feature, but on Xbox you can. So I don't know. Seems they need to get that sorted out. Otherwise, there's going to be probably a lot more games having the same issue.
Mm-hmm. Well, not only they face this issue where you have Microsoft giving free updates to the games for most of the games anyways, especially from their first party, and the system just automatically enhances the titles. But you also have the fact that they're paying a little extra for these titles, and their saves won't transfer over. I mean, their competitor is doing it. For them not to do it, some of these people, they put in hours upon hours of time into this, getting all the collectibles in games. I know Maneater, I remember Centurion talking about the game. There's all kinds of collectibles in that game. Yakuza, you can definitely put a lot of hours into Yakuza, and it's just that's not being fair to your fan base. To me, it's just that's not a cool move.
Invader, it's that whole thing again. Where is Sony? Where are they? I mean, they have no answers. They don't even. There's no public. Yeah, but I mean, Xbox is right out of the gate. They come out and give some of these big names a console to preview. These are the kinds of things that they make waves in terms of free publicity, free media, just free marketing. It's not free, obviously, but you know what I mean. But again, it's almost like we're almost a month away from these consoles launching, and Sony is still MIA. Nobody knows where they are. So does anybody know where they are? Knock.
Mm-hmm.
Taking your pre-order money, you ain't getting one till next year, though.
Well, that's what I mean by you look at the contrast between the two companies with the consoles. You got Microsoft, they're being very, very open. They've been open about the console for a while now. Sony's been this long, drawn-out process. I mean, sure, Xbox has with a few things, but for the most part, they've been so open about their platform, what's, the features, and just everything about it, really. Whereas Sony's just been non-bloody, I don't know, they've just been non-communicative about this kind of stuff.
They are they are kind of smoke and mirrors, to be honest. I mean, what's going on with their SSD? How much does it even cost? Where do you even put the damn thing? It's just. And if this was Xbox, oh my God, stuff would be shitting. It'd be crazy. People would be talking about Twitter for 4 days. But because it's Sony, everybody gets a pass. They get a pass.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And the thing about the SSD too, apparently, because that came out, I believe, earlier today or yesterday, that the PS5, the SSD will only have 664 gigabytes of usable space for the games, which is very, very tiny. Has it been a mistake for Sony to hype up their SSD? I mean, they talk about the speed. That's all I ever heard about, is the speed from all the fanboys and news outlets.
It's okay. They're only going to install Call of Duty and Fortnite on it anyway.
Yeah. But they talk about the speed, but what makes it different? I mean, what's the tech behind it? There's no transparency as far as that goes. So are they just full of shit and they're just saying it? Or is it really faster?
Well, the thing is, too, there was a video making the rounds. I posted it in our group chat yesterday about somebody had, I guess, both units, both Xbox and PlayStation 5, and they booted them both up, and the Xbox, I believe, booted up faster, too. So
yeah, but that doesn't really mean anything. That's just the startup. Some startups, as far as what's on screen, that doesn't really. What matters is how fast the games boot up, how much longer does the loading times take. That matters. It's not the startup, which is it's basically just could be a long startup.
Yeah, it's just, to me, I see Sony right now as getting kind of complacent again. I really don't want to say this because I didn't like that era, but it reminds me a lot like the early PS3 days. Maybe not as bad, but they're getting to the point where they're just not communicating very well at all, and they just seem to be, I don't know, just not making.
I'll tell you one thing though, Invader. That system, the PS5, is just as huge as the PlayStation 3 was. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's out of control.
Yeah, the size is going to be an issue, I think. I mean, it's funny because when the Xbox Series X was announced, people were talking about how big it was and how it was a tower. Now, when you place it beside the PlayStation 5, it looks very clean cut and slim in comparison.
Did you see the article that came out that said the PlayStation 5 looks better as an architectural building than it does as a console? And they actually showed a representation of the PS5 as a legit building, and it did. It looked way better.
Talk about a waste of time, waste of journalism.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, there's a lot of bloody blowhards out there that just like to, read what they bloody type up. But honestly, do you
guys think that?
Well, dude, we had Tom Warren on the thing doing his reveal, and he's over here going, the Series S isn't a walkie-talkie, and as soon as he started doing that, I clicked off. Did anybody see that other than me?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, within the first few minutes of Tom Warren's video, he's talking into the side of the Series S like it's a walkie-talkie. And about that time, I went tone deaf and clicked off onto another video.
No, I think he meant that as a compliment because it's small and.
No, he was he was commenting on the black speaker on top. He was like, "What's the black thing on top? Is it a walkie-talkie?" And he starts making jokes. I was like, "Dude, any educated human being is going to know that's a vent."
Well, I hear it's silent this time, so thank God for that. For this new PS5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, as long as they got the heat under control and it works fine, it plays the games well, it doesn't matter. I mean, it is going to be kind of an eyesore, but as long as it does what it's supposed to do and doesn't overheat, hey, I'm fine with that. I'm totally cool, whatever. But like,
do you guys think that part of the issue with Sony, you think it's a part of it again, is that a little bit of that arrogance in the same way that Apple kind of marches to the beat of their own drum because one, they've been so successful and industry leaders, and they just kind of go, we're going to do what we like, and we're going to take the market with us kicking or screaming no matter what they want, right? You're either going to adapt or you just get lost. Or do you think it's the case that Sony's gone a little bit tone deaf and the fans aren't quite coming out and calling them out like they should be? Because, there's just things about the whole Sony situation that just, and you don't see enough fans being honest. You know what I mean? Like, you see the odd fan being about the Bethesda deal, like, oh, this kind of sucks and stuff, but, or they're pretending now all of a sudden Bethesda games don't matter, things like that. But, like, they got to come out and call them out for the stuff that they don't like either, and you don't see enough. You don't see enough of the Sony fans making videos going, "We don't like this, Sony. You need to improve it," but you don't see it.
Newf, it's two things. It's the media doesn't call them out on it, and the fans. So they think everything's fine, everything's peachy, everything's great, and that's part of the problem, which is good for Xbox. I mean, shit, but yeah, I mean, I just think that's what it is. So, but I mean they gotta at least call out the double standards. I mean, Jesus. I mean, some of the shit that Sony gets away with is crazy.
I mean, we know Microsoft's listening because the One X is the perfect example. The One X wouldn't even exist at all if it wasn't for fans. Right?
Yeah.
If it wasn't for the constant demand to have a better product than the fat VCR box we got at the beginning of the gen. Fans complained about Kinect, and look where that went. It made the console more expensive, and ultimately it wasn't utilized properly. Nobody really wanted it, and most people that use it for fucking hey, Xbox, play this or play that. Like, it was never utilized, and that thing hit the dodo bird. This is what I'm saying. So I think Sony's fallen on deaf ears here with some of their stuff. And I know there's honest PlayStation fans out there that, if you talk to them behind the scenes, give you probably an honest opinion. On a podcast, they come across as arrogant POS sometimes. And they're just like, yeah, Sony's the best no matter what. Like, it's it's almost like feels like if Sony came up and kicked you in the nuts, to go, oh, that was the best kick in the nuts I've ever had. Right? Like, seriously, that's the way you feel about it some days. And you're like, what the heck, dude?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like we're an Xbox-centric podcast, but at the same time, we're more than willing to share our true thoughts with, about Xbox and some of their moves. And we've been critical about them on many occasions because we like to be honest. Because hey, we know some people are listening, and maybe we can make a little bit of a difference with right. So
hey, can I say something real quick? Hopefully, people are listening. I hope certain people are listening from Xbox marketing. You need to go out and make a commercial right now that shows somebody transferring their save file from one console to the other and put, this is how you transfer your save file. Remember the whole, this is how you save your game. I mean, how you share your game.
Yeah. I saw a great ad somebody posted the other day. I wish I had captured it, but it was a little graphic of a dude going, this is day one on Xbox, and it showed a picture of a little guy holding about several hundred Xbox games in his hand. You couldn't even see the dude. You just see the hands and the stack of Xbox games. Yeah. And then it showed the PlayStation guy. Here's our games, day one, and the guy's got one copy of Spider-Man in his hand. This is what you get for $80 or something like that, or $100 and something. And yeah, that was kind of the comparison. I had a good laugh at that.
Oh boy! Well, yeah, and that's
maybe we could talk to Mr. Greenberg. I had a chance to talk to him today on Twitter, and he's currently in Montana right now. I don't know where but
yeah,
he has everybody
at this point.
Yeah,
he's been spending a lot of time
in Montana right now. I don't know where. He wouldn't tell me.
He wouldn't tell me. I didn't ask him. I didn't want to be nosy. I'm just like, you're in Montana, right? Yeah, he's like, yeah.
Sure. So, yeah, sure, a cigar.
I think it tells you where on his Instagram.
You with the block.
Well, Aaron's been on TXR a couple times.
Yeah,
back in the day. Yeah,
but Yeah, no, it's just interesting. Like again, we call them out. We call them out because we want to see them do better because we're really invested in the Xbox platform. We love the games and we want them to get better. Whereas with some other platforms, like whether it be some Nintendo fans, PlayStation fans, I don't hear them calling them out as much as more praising, even when they do something bad or they're silent about it. Over this past generation, Xbox fans have been shaping the console, the ecosystem into what it is now because we've been venting our frustrations and now we get to see the fruits of that. So
I think
Yeah.
we've all kind of given up on Nintendo because they're marching to the beat of their own drum. They're on a completely different ship heading toward another planet completely. Like those guys are fucking way out there, man.
Well, I mean, that's to their credit, though. They're still a really successful company and
Yeah,
a very profitable company for sure.
yeah.
So,
they know what works for them, right? They're okay with sort of
yeah.
making money the best way they know how, and that's catering to the
Mhm.
audience that obviously PlayStation and Xbox sort of don't do so well in or fail to neglect. You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
that more that family friendly atmosphere, easier tech right up front. Less investment. I mean, right down from having a Switch, there's way less downloading and updating and constant nuisance that goes along with PlayStation and Xbox. There's no question about it.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, again, I hope PlayStation gets that fixed, and hopefully they can do better with their cross-gen saves because I want to see that platform succeed. They just, they got to learn from some of these mistakes. All right, fellas, on to our last talking point of the night, and it looks like the Xbox app for iPhone is going to be receiving a big update. It'll have an overhauled design, and it brings with it a remote play option that will allow Xbox console owners to stream their games to an iPhone. So, I mean, hey, that's pretty nice. However, it still doesn't change the xCloud situation, unfortunately. Centurion, I know you've been on top of the whole Apple, Microsoft kind of scuffle that's been going on the past couple of months. First, what do you think of the whole remote play feature being added in?
Oh man. See, I don't know how to feel about remote play because it doesn't interest me because the whole
Yeah.
concept of remote play is you're playing off of your console. I know if you're very savvy, you can kind of create a home network and kind of do this on like at other locations, kind of like xCloud, but you got to be really, really network savvy to pull some of that stuff off to be able to use it outside of your own home. Um,
Yeah. I've in since Sean, I've used the one cast. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but basically, what you do is you just use your own network, and it works well. And you can just cast onto your iPad or whatnot. But I think what they're talking about now is using the actual Xbox application or Game Pass application. I'm not sure
oh,
exactly.
well, what I mean by like use remote play.
Oh,
Oh,
Centurion.
we lost the Mr. Senchi.
Yo, 50 Cent, where'd
So,
you at?
oh, there you are. We got you. Well, maybe not.
Oh,
Well, I will
So,
say he's probably alluding to. I've seen better performance with xCloud playing the same game versus remote play, and I have 5G router, and I'm like right next to it, and high speed, 350 megabit, down, and like 40 megabit up. So
yeah.
even I figured it would be the opposite, but after playing Doom the other night off of just Xbox Cloud or xCloud servers,
But
buttery
I'm
smooth.
yeah, but I'm
Seemed to
telling you
perform
guys
better.
right now, if you get an opportunity to dex your phone to your TV, it's a great experience.
Guys are saying no audio for some reason. Uh, uh, oh, wait, no, the sound is back, they said. Okay, guys, keep it rolling. Centurion, are you back?
He's back yet.
Can you guys hear me now?
All right, you're good. Yeah.
Yep.
There you are.
My good. Hey, why my internet service provider is Cox, because we're a bunch of cocks and we will pull your internet without warning.
All right. All right.
No, sorry. What was I saying?
I think you were talking about the difference between remote play and xCloud, maybe.
Right. I was just saying, like, to me, it's something I'm not interested in. But what I was wanting to say with xCloud, though, I don't know what Microsoft's going to do. It's interesting that Amazon has made a workaround using the web interface, so they're not really going through the Apple Store. Me and actually Fuzzy from over at the Shop Podcast were talking about this. They're kind of working around the Play Store. I'm kind of curious if Xbox is allowed to use this loophole. But regretfully, Epic has kind of been the guys that have been leading the way, with Xbox kind of giving them some support. And I just read an article that one of the judges for the whole, Apple trying to pull the Unreal Engine off of the Apple Store and all this other stuff, kind of ruled in Apple's favor, because they said Epic basically blatantly tried to break the rules that Apple had put out. So it doesn't look like xCloud is going to be coming to Apple anytime soon. And I just think this is them trying to give the Apple consumers something, because it's actually something we've already been doing on Xbox already, has been doing some remote play with Android devices. So I really don't know what much more Microsoft can do with the Apple ecosystem until Apple kind of changes a few things.
Maybe they'll change their tune when the next like Elder Scrolls or Starfield drops. That, they have one of these big games to really push it. But
true.
I mean, Apple changed the rules for Amazon. They re-changed their 30% deal and gave them a special cut for Amazon Prime Video. And so that's where this all came from. They did a special deal for Amazon, but didn't want to give a special deal to anybody else.
And that's what I think it's going to come down to with Apple, is I think Microsoft is going to have to put Apple in a position where Apple has to come to them to want a game, a product, a feature, something. And Microsoft needs to get Apple in a position where they'll negotiate like that, because it blew my mind that Luna is coming to Apple, because if you watch my video, huh?
I said, right?
Well, if you watch my video, it actually shows you how, according to the Apple Store rules, something like Luna shouldn't be able to exist, but because they don't go through the store and they're using the web browser interface,
just a web browser.
And I'm just like, so what would happen if Microsoft did this? Like, wouldn't that get them sued?
I mean, I think they thought of doing that, but they didn't want to diminish like the experience on that platform.
Right.
Just to get it to work. Like that would have been it's going to be a crappy experience trying to just do it through the web when you can just have everything seamless through the app.
And that's what a lot of the streaming services that have come out, like Steam and Epic, have both come out and said that, their streaming platforms of their games are watered down, excuse the expression, piss poor versions of what they truly want on the Apple Play Store, because they had to sacrifice so much just to get it on the Apple Store.
I don't know why Google doesn't do it, because that's what they do on the PC, I think, right? They use the browser.
Yeah.
So
I don't understand Apple. I do not, for the life of me, I do not understand Apple. I mean, this is a company who has let China steal their intellectual property, yet some of these U.S. giants, we can't get in. So it's just stupid.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely silly. Apple's a weird beast.
I don't know what's the point. You can remote play from your own home server, but if you take it from a server from a corporation, nope.
I know and that's how they're able to offer you remote play, because technically the Xbox is the server and it houses the games that you own.
See, I don't think Steve Jobs would have done this. Like, it's literally Netflix, and you can watch what is it, Black Mirror Bandersnatch. It's an interactive. It's basically like some games like Erica. It's basically an interactive movie, and that's all you're doing with these. It's same if you're watching any type of show on Netflix. You're interacting with it by pressing pause, play. Like, you're doing the same thing. It's a video. It's all this is. It's a video being streamed to you. No different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just it's interesting that we see this come along, which is good. I mean, I don't know how many people are going to take advantage of the remote play, but it's still, it's a nice feature to be adding in for free. I got no problem with that. I might test it out at some point whenever the app gets updated. But yeah, the whole xCloud Apple situation is just, it's still kind of a mess. Apple not playing nice. There's such a weird corporation at times. They used to have so much public goodwill, and they've just been pissing it away in recent years, unfortunately. But you know what, guys, on that note, I think that wraps things up for tonight's episode of the TXR Podcast. And hey, you know what, we covered a lot of hot news circling around the game industry over the past week, such as Xbox console previews, all the Starfield leaks, and so much more. And I gotta give a big thank you to everyone, as always, that tuned in tonight. So if you guys haven't already done so, then would you generously smash the like button, share this episode out, and subscribe for future content for your favorite Xbox-centric podcast. Guys, let's get to these outros, and of course, I'm going to start off with our guest, Newf Nukem. Buddy, it was a blast having you on again. It feels like it's been forever since the last time, but it's been great having you back. It's definitely been too long. Where can everybody find you at?
First of all, guys, thanks for having me on. So big shout out to you, Invader, for sending the invitation. Big shout out to Downer, Shockley, Centurion. Guys, the topics are great. Everybody had great points. I love being here, man. I just love doing this stuff. I love gaming, and I love being on podcasts, talking about my favorite hobby. Chat's been awesome as well. So thanks for, like I said, having me here. I hope I didn't overextend my welcome here tonight, and look forward to another invite in the future, hopefully. As far as finding me, guys, always know where to find Newf Nukem, in the gutter. Yes, and on Gaming After Dark on Tuesday nights with my co-host Titan Drago and the Middle Age Game Guy. This week we have a familiar face from the Xbox community in Triple Cup Chuck joining us, so it's going to be a loud and fast show, guaranteed. That is on Tuesday nights, 10 Eastern, 8 Mountain Time on my YouTube channel. We hope to see you guys there. Thanks for the love and support, and we hope to see you all again soon. Stay safe, have fun, and keep it real, keep it gaming.
Yeah, brother. Always a big show when you are on, and we will definitely have you back at some point. Next up, we will go on to the TXR panel, and Jeremy, buddy, where can everybody find you at?
Yeah, you could find me on Xbox, Downer Space Jane. You could find me on Twitter, taking the green pill, finally. And that's going to be at Lone Master at Lone Master Who 07. And you can find me there. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Newf, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming on. And we'll catch you guys next week.
Absolutely. Next up, Eric Shockley, buddy. You had some really great points tonight. And where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, you can follow me at Shock Nero on Twitter, Easy Shock on Xbox Live. And for any person from Microsoft listening, I've been trying to purchase those 2 games I talked about like a month ago off of Game Pass, and still can't purchase them. So gotta figure that one out. Game Pass games can't be bought, at least by me. Better in that get the discount.
Which games were they again?
So I've been Panzer Dragoon Orta and Ninja Gaiden 2. So I've been trying to purchase them, but those 2 games will not let me purchase them. Well, no, I could purchase Panzer Dragoon now because it's out of Game Pass. So they're like, well, it works now. And I'm like, yeah, it's out of Game Pass. Now it works. It's like I don't get my discount. It kind of defeats the purpose. Out of Game Pass. Well, part of the perks. So, But who knows? Oh, wow. $2.
Weird.
But yeah, now I can purchase it. But I've been trying to move all my physical disc games into digital so I can use all that quick resume and not have to get up and put the disc in. So, but looking forward to that next gen. Great show. Thanks for Newf to stop by, and see you later.
All right. Then moving down the list, Centurion buddy. Hey, always some good opinions, some good stuff. Why don't you tell everybody where you can find you, and hey, shout out your latest video.
Right. Thank you, Invader. Thank you, everyone here, especially to you, Newf. And yeah, always the eccentric outburst from me. So for those interested, please follow me on my YouTube channel. I did just release a video yesterday on Star Wars Squadrons. Kind of wanted to give my first impressions of the game, but I also will have another video coming out tomorrow morning, shameless plug, to kind of show some people how to actually play xCloud on your television in the way Downer here was talking about. Kind of got it broken down to show you how to kind of look for the apps on your phone to make this possible. So yes, in proper situations, you do have an Xbox console in your pocket. But for all that, please follow me on YouTube, Centurion1307. Also, Twitter, Xbox Live, Centurion1307. You can also find me every Saturday night on the Shop Podcast and every Sunday night right here, annoying these fine gentlemen on the TXR Podcast.
Damn right, you're annoying. Sheesh.
Thanks.
You know what's? You know who's annoying? Fucking Canadians are annoying. That's who they are.
And there goes some sun.
Hey?
Hey, screw you, buddy. You're not my buddy guy.
Canada.
You're not my guy friend.
Thanks.
He says that now until he moves to Canada when Trump loses. So.
Wow.
Oh no! Wait! Trump voters are saying they're moving to Panama if he loses. That's where they're going. Libs are going to Canada.
Cambodia.
Panama. All right, guys. Of course, I'm Invader. You guys can find my content on YouTube at Invader Gaming, and I'm pretty active on Twitter at Invader_1986. Of course, great show tonight, and we cannot wait to see you next Sunday. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one.